Anime manga villains tier list. I guess I won't give any major spoilers for any of these. If I do, I'll give a warning, but Sawatari from Chainsaw Man. She's barely a villain. I don't know, she's probably a C tier. She was fine to see, I guess, but she didn't really have too much to her. I know she has become like a big meme. I don't know why, but it is what it is. This guy from Demon Slayer, the Upper Moon 6 or something, he was cool because of just how competent he was. It's insane how, out of nowhere, at the end of this random movie that feels like a throwaway movie or something, he just shows up, fights one of the strongest of the Demon Slayer characters out of all the characters in that entire universe, and puts up a good fight. I won't say the spoiler of like what happens, I guess, in that movie, but yeah, it puts up a good fight, which was a bit of a subversion, which was cool. Beetlejuice or Beetlejuice or whatever you want to call him from ReZero. He is, you know what? I guess I probably will give some minor spoilers for all these. He has a backstory where he's a normal person, okay, and then he becomes crazy. And I think adding that element of him a very long time ago being a normal person kind of makes him much more interesting, and I think it's really cool. But if it was just him being wacky and crazy and stuff, it'd probably just be like C tier, maybe bottom of B tier. But he's just like this guy who like, he has a lot of love in his heart, and you know, I got twisted the wrong way because of something that happened to him, which I don't think I really know yet in the anime, but it is what it is. Heath says Akaza, that's right, that's his name, I forgot, is the best or the second best character in the manga. Interesting. Maybe. My favorite is probably Muzan. I really like Muzan. Who else do I like in Demon Slayer? Oh my god. Tanjiro I hate. He's just incredibly boring. Who else is there in Demon Slayer? Muzan's just like the best by a landslide. I don't know. I guess the rock guy, the guy without the eyes or whatever. I don't know if he's been in the anime yet. I like him. Anyway, Boros? Was that his name? That's it. Doesn't sound right though. It's been so long since I've seen season 1 of One Punch Man. Another 80 villain. This is great. I can't believe it. He'd probably be on the top of this one because he was just some guy who wanted to get stronger. You know, he's a nice mirror to Saitama, who, a guy who searches everywhere, proves that he's the strongest, and just wants to find a challenging adversary and can't find one until he finally finds the will to live and fight and continue dominating, I guess, in his fight with Saitama, and loses. And it's like, oh my god, this is so sad. And Saitama's like, yeah, you were the best, and I had to really struggle to fight you. And Saitama was lying, and he calls it out. I'm like, oh my god, I love Boros. What a cool guy. Anyway. Oh my god, this is from Slime, right? Who is it? Is it actually, does it give the name? Do I have to inspect the element? Is this I don't actually remember his name. Slime, white hair, villain guy. Dio voice actor. I'm pretty sure he's voiced by the Dio guy. Alright, let's look it up. Is it not from Slime? It's not even here. Is it the guy who resurrected Shizu? Well, I'll put him in Don't Remember for now. Darby, he's fine. He's perfectly fine. He's a solid B tier. He's one note, you know, he's evil and he has fire, and then you find out he's not one note and he has some drama associated with him. And I'm like, okay, that's fine, perfectly serviceable. In the final arc of the manga, which I won't spoil, he has a part to play. It's mildly interesting. Dio, is he S tier or A tier? There's not too much to him. I guess for now I'll put him in S tier and see if there's like way too many in S tier and I'll move him down. But there's like nothing to him basically. He's just evil for the sake of being evil. He is flamboyant and over the top in a similar way to Lelouch, I guess, is what I would compare him to. He is unbelievably evil in those first 2 episodes, which is awesome. It's really refreshing to see a character that is just purely evil, with no redeeming qualities whatsoever. And it's just Dio. He's like the most famous voice actor of, like, I always pick out his voice in anything. Like, he voices, you know, Zeke, voices Toji Zenin, and a bunch of other people. And I'm just like, oh my god, it's Dio. Like, I don't think, oh my god, this is Zeke. I think this is Dio. I don't know why. It's just, like, solidified in my mind that that's who it is. Anyway. Oh god, Eren Yeager. Okay, wait a minute. Is it Clayman? That's what I was thinking. But to me, it looks like the guy who summoned, what's the name? Yeah, it is Clayman, isn't it? Oh my god. Thank you, Heath. You know your isekai, don't you? Jesus. Clayman. God, do I remember anything about Clayman? Because I remember in season 2 he had this big... I need to rewatch Slime again for the 3rd time. At the end, there was something happened with him, and I don't remember what it was, but I enjoy Clayman, because he's also voiced by Dio, isn't he? That's crazy. Anyway. He's not better than Darby. Honestly, I don't remember enough about him. It'd probably be C tier. I wonder what my D tier villains will be, if there's any. Eren Yeager. I mean, S tier. He's one of my favorite characters in Attack on Titan. Yeah, he is definitely one of my favorite characters in Attack on Titan. He's not really a villain, I guess. I mean, he's kind of he's definitely an antagonist. villain is like, I guess we come down to what does it mean to be a villain? What is a villain, you know? But yeah, he's the best. How would I even describe this? What is it? It's like Galactic Garrow or something from One Punch Man? Is he better than Eren? Damn, maybe. I really like, he probably is, honestly. Damn, okay. That's crazy to think about. Garrow is a great character. He's probably the best. I guess I really like Saitama, and I love Tatsumaki. Actually, there's a lot of characters in One Punch Man that I like, but Garrow is great. He's like, if you've seen season 2, is what I'll limit it to, I guess. He's a villain because as a kid, he wanted to be a villain and people bullied him. And the heroes were like, the people who wanted to be heroes were the bullies. And it just like messed up his whole worldview. And yeah, it's so sad. I really like Garrow. God, anyway. Oh, wait. Now that I think about it, this is Garrow. Now that I think about it, this is probably it's a similar kind of character, but it's probably when the god takes over or whatever. So I don't know. I'll put them both here. They're both great. Anyway, I will treat this as Geto from Jujutsu Kaisen, even though it's probably not him. He's a very simple character. I don't like him. I liked him more, but I guess before we found out what his motivations were, because they're incredibly simplistic. I like him as a friend in the first few episodes of season 2, where we see him like when he's younger with Gojo. Like I enjoyed their relationship. I enjoyed how he seemed to be a very good person back then. But I guess as soon as he turns into a villain, it's kind of like all of his intrigue goes away, and he's kind of like just becomes like racist out of nowhere. And I'm like, okay. So I guess that's C tier. Maybe D tier. No, bottom of C tier. I'll keep him there. And Sawatari's, no, he's not better than Clayman. Hanami, is that her name? These are like non-characters basically. In my opinion, probably C tier. Not as good as Geto. Hinata from Slime. I don't know anything about her. She's barely shown up in the anime. I'm assuming she'll come back later. But as far as I remember, she's a human, part of the church, and she is incredibly racist against demons, which burns a passionate fire in my heart, because I just remember her coming out of nowhere, almost killing good old, oh my god, it's been so long. What is the slime's name? It's not Meruem. Why is Meruem coming to my mind? It's not Milim. I remember Milim, of course. Oh my god. Rimuru, that's what I'm thinking of. She almost kills Rimuru, and I'm like, oh my god, I hate this person. So she's definitely S tier. I have a very passionate hate for her. Anyway, Ifrit, I think that was his name. Is he even a villain? He's like a good guy, right? He has good times with the dragon guy. Another C tier. He's not as good as Clayman, I guess. Jogo. I always found it weird how his name is the opposite of Gojo. I feel like it's probably a reason for that, but I don't understand it. Like maybe he comes back later. I got no idea. But I guess I don't have any. I mean, of the cursed spirits is I guess what you call them in Jujutsu Kaisen, the really powerful ones, the special grades. He's probably the most interesting because he is arrogant. I guess we probably see him the most out of all of them. I guess we see him fight the most, I guess, out of all of them. I don't know. I like him the best. He's definitely not A tier. He'd probably be better than Darby. Katana Man. He's incredibly simplistic. He's definitely A tier. I think every Chainsaw Man is at least A tier. But there's not really too much to him, I guess. I enjoyed his appearance in the anime. I enjoyed his physical appearance in the anime. He looked really cool. And he shows up and fights. And I'm like, cool. I like fights. I like his gimmick. He has a sword. He has a sword for a hand as well. Funny. Oh boy. Kira. Or Killa. Or Kira, as they say. He's not better than Dio. Dio is probably the best. Not the best character, but the best villain. But he is incredibly compelling, you know. Oh, do I remember the details of this guy? Jesus. He just wants to live a normal life, but he likes hands. That's really all there is to it. He has problems with his dad or something, but I like him. He's great. And there's also a manga that I read with him, which was crazy. I couldn't believe that he was in that. Anyway. Mahito, here we are, our first D tier. He is my least favorite character in Jujutsu Kaisen. He is incredibly uninteresting. When I remembered that he was going to be a big focus of season 2, I guess, because I was like, okay, we get these nice like flashback episodes at the beginning of season 2, and then the next episode we get Mahito back, and I'm like, oh my god, I remember why, like the stuff I didn't like about Jujutsu Kaisen. He's incredibly boring, incredibly uninteresting. I don't like his personality at all. His abilities, I don't like him either. They're weird. And There's not a single redeeming thing about him. He might be my he probably is the bottom of this list. I don't think I can think of a single character that I enjoy less than him. And I'm incredibly worried that he's going to become like a bigger part of Jujutsu Kaisen going forward, because he does seem like Yuji's big nemesis or something, and I find him completely uninteresting. So we'll see. Muzan, here we are. This is a good villain. He's not better than Eren. Is he better than Dio? Probably not. I like him. What can I say that isn't like a massive spoiler? He's competent. You know, I like competent villains. There we go. Oh boy. Orsted. Let's limit this to anime Orsted. In the anime, he's very cool. Comes out of nowhere, wins, and revives the person that he wins. Crazy. He's definitely A tier in the anime. We'll leave it at that. Probably better than the Demon Slayer guy, not as good as Boros. Overhaul, probably an S tier character. He just wants his dad to be happy, alright? So I like him. This is one of the witches from ReZero, right? I have no idea which witch this is, and I have no idea what their character is, so they're going into don't know them, even though I recognize him. And this guy, he can go in C tier because I recognize him from ReZero. He showed up in the flashback with Amelia's mum. I don't remember what he did. I remember him being like arrogant and like strong, so he is in C tier. He's not as bad as Mahito. This is the spider person that Tanjiro fights. They were very boring. D, but they're not worse than Mahito, that's for sure. I'd take a million of these guys than a single Mahito. This guy was awesome in Mob Psycho. He's definitely A tier. Yeah, he's probably better than this guy, Kaza or whatever. He teleports. He has the coolest fight in all of Mob Psycho 100 is when he's teleporting and fighting everyone. That's so great. And he's just in it for the fun. You know, he doesn't want to die. Like, he gets out of there when Mob shows up. It's awesome. Oh boy. All right, now we get into some interesting territory. Shigaraki. He is the main villain of My Hero Academia. He is nowhere near as good and compelling as All For One, but he is at least interesting, all right? He goes through a nice little bit of growth. You know, you see him early on and he's like a stereotypical anime villain where he's, well, I guess young anime villain where he sees everything as like it's a video game. He thinks he's the greatest and the best and he's going to win and blah, blah, blah. And eventually we find out that he's got an interesting backstory. He's not as simplistic as we thought. He goes through a nice growth. He's good, all right? He's obviously no All For One, which is a shame he's not on here. Wait, did I miss him? Is he? I feel like surely that'd be, if they have Shigaraki here, surely they'd have All For One. Did I just like not see him in this list? I guess not. All For One would be like top of S tier. Probably, I don't know if he'd be above Gaara, maybe, potentially. I really like All For One, but I've talked about that in enough depth in videos, I think. Stain is probably better than Shigaraki. He doesn't do too much. He shows up very infrequently. And he's like I guess he's the definition of an anti-hero, right? Where it's like he's doing bad things, but he's doing it for a good cause. So he's interesting in that regard. I guess his scene in season 6 or season 7 or whatever the latest season is was really good when he shows up and kind of motivates All Might to be All Might again. And I really like that. So he is being bumped up for that. That is a unique opinion. I assume you're talking about Shigaraki because I think I saw that come up when I was talking about him. True. I guess most people don't like All For One, probably. Most people are dumb, that's probably why. Anyway, I think you're the only person I've ever seen like All For One more than Shigaraki. Well, okay, that's interesting. Yeah, because people are crazy. People just like character growth. They're like, oh my god, the character changed. Isn't that crazy? That's the definition of good writing when you like study it in English class. So he must be a good character. I guess that's really what I think. I think that's the majority of engagement with him is what I guess most people would say. It's like, oh my god, he has an interesting backstory, you know? But All For One is unashamedly a villain, all right? There's nothing good about him. He loves his job. He loves being a villain. He's incredibly competent. He is one of the best manipulators in a variety of different series that I've seen. I really enjoy him. And how great that he doesn't want to give over the power to the next generation. What a great thing. He should be the final villain. Like, what a great idea. I love it. It's one thing I really liked about Jujutsu Kaisen, which is a shame what happened, I guess, but I really loved how Gojo was the most powerful, undeniably, in the anime so far. And when he shows up, it's like he's going to win all the time. And I really appreciated that. It was very fun. I guess he's out of the picture now in the latest season of Jujutsu Kaisen, so that's a shame. But you know what? We still got All For One in My Hero Academia, you know? sticking around, the old generation showing that they're better than these new youngsters. I really enjoy it. And I really enjoy his backstory for All for One, but that's a big spoiler. I don't really want to talk about that. But I love All for One. Shigaraki boring. He's such an overdone trope in fiction, all right? Good guy, I mean, bad guy turned, probably going to turn good guy. Yeah, anyway. Sukuna, after this latest episode of Jujutsu Kaisen, he's probably the most interesting character besides Gojo. Probably around here, probably. God, that latest episode was just so good. It just bumped Sukuna up so well. Anyway, it's kind of cool to see him as a prodigy, I guess. That's what that episode painted it as. When he does his domain expansion, and they just describe it as though, like, I guess the first thing is that they reveal that he doesn't have a barrier around his domain. And that's kind of like, it goes against anything we've seen in regards to like normal domains, I guess. And he kind of, like, even Gojo has a barrier around his domain. And that was the big issue about why he couldn't use his domain, because it's like, if he uses it here, he's going to push all the people and they're going to get shoved or whatever. So it just like paints him as like a prodigy of like jujutsu, which is really cool to see. And he has like a personality as well. Like, he picked up those drinks last episode, and it's like, oh, it's kind of cool. Sukuna is really interesting. I'm interested to see where he goes. I have no idea what his motivation is, though, which is kind of worrying, but yeah, anyway. Let's see. Will My Hero Academia be bad then when Shigaraki eventually outlasts All for One and becomes the final antagonist? I have no idea. The quality of My Hero Academia isn't purely based on the villains, I don't think. I think that, like, when I think of a character I like, it's definitely All for One. But story-wise, I don't know, My Hero Academia has a lot of things going for it. Like, you could definitely write a good story where All for One is defeated. I'm also not up to date on the manga, so maybe he already has been defeated. I got no idea. But I'm not against it. It'd be cool. I mean, eventually he's obviously going to get defeated. My Hero Academia is a positive message. We got at the beginning of episode 1 or 2 or whatever, where it's like, this is the story of how I became the greatest hero. So obviously Deku wins somehow. I don't know. There's some interesting things you could do. We'll see. Suzuki, something like that. Teru's not Teru. Orange haired guy's dad in Mob Psycho 100. He's definitely A tier as well. Better than Shigaraki. Better than Stain because of his stuff in season 3. Okay, it'll probably Katana Man is too high now that I think about it. Okay, Katana Man can go there. He's great, but I if you think about it, or if I think about it, the great aspect to him is really his interactions with Mob, I guess. So maybe on his own is not that interesting, but again, one of those stories where it's like, kind of like Shigaraki, where it's like bad guy becomes better guy, like decent guy. But I guess the element I like is that in season 3, I guess is a pretty big spoiler. It's not really a big spoiler, it's a minor character, but in season 3 of Mob Psycho 100, he shows up and he has the chance to sacrifice himself, and he doesn't. Because he learned from season 2, like at the end of that, when it's like, I guess my family is important. It's like a very small scene, and it's a very minor part of the season 3 of Mob Psycho, but I think it really stood out and made him really interesting. So I like him. Teru. He's barely a villain. He's a villain for one episode, but God, as a character, I really enjoyed Teru. He's like he's a friend, a reliable friend who's always there. But as a villain, probably B tier, right? He doesn't do too much. He like shows up, thinks he's like very arrogant. He thinks he's like he thinks he's the best at what he does, but then he gets humbled, I guess. It's like a fun story. Anyway, Zeke is a very compelling villain, actually. He's no Dio though, come on, let's be real. Although he is voiced by Dio, isn't that crazy? Yeah, Zeke is incredibly compelling. We see his backstory, where he's a young kid who just can't live up to the expectations and pressure of his dad. And he actually finds a father figure. I mean, I'm saying this as though people watching this haven't seen Attack on Titan, but can't find, his... Wait, what was I saying? He's smart. He thinks of the euthanasia plan, which is certainly a compelling alternate plan to the Rumbling. And he has a good ending. I won't spoil what it is, but anyway, tier list. There we go. We have a lot of S tier characters. 2 terrible D tier, although 1 especially. This would be like F tier if I could choose any particular tier for that guy. Anyway, let's see. Funny how Teru is the opposite. Teru's the opposite of what? Of Mob? He's definitely the opposite in that one scene, I guess. I don't know. Oh, this guy? Maybe not. I don't know. Whatever. Okay. I'm glad that's out of the way, so I never have to do that again. Oh, now we can see the community ranking. Okay, I forgot about this. Dio, look at this. Great. A lot of people do love it. Oh my god, wait, this is like really similar to what I did, right? This guy, Dio, Boris was up there. Sukuna was pretty high, but I guess he wasn't that high. Aaron, true. I don't know who the hell these two are. That's from like JoJo's, I imagine. Garrow, true. A lot of people. I'm glad to see Garrow there. Cosmic Garrow or Cosmic God or whatever you want to call this thing. He's also up there. All right, these are pretty good, I guess. Muzan should be higher. This guy should be way lower. Mahito is a boring character. Katana Man, I'm glad to see him in tier 5, I guess. Oh, no, wait, this is the strength, isn't it? Because these things are like transcendent multiversal cos. Oh, no, I guess not, because Eren Lee Jaeger is definitely not multiversal. Anyway, who's like really low? Who's like bad that should be a lot higher? That should be probably higher. Terry, I'm surprised he's down this low. Maybe everyone had the same reasoning as me. Beetlejuice, I imagine most people would have liked him more. Orsted, that's funny to have him this low down. Sawatari, I feel like everyone loved her. Why is she so low down here? Cuban. Do I recognize anyone here besides this guy? Nope, not at all. All right. Systemic lack